Hello. Let me get the lighting a little bit better. Should be around sunset time right now. Open. So thank you so much for being patient. Thank you for not sending me the hey, when is the reading going to be ready message. That isn't such a bad thing when people do that, as long as they say it in a respectful way. I understand people get excited, but I really do appreciate people who just intuitively know that I'm not, I'm doing things as fast as I can and as good as I can, and it's going to get done when it gets done. And I feel like it affects the reading. I mean, I don't know. I do my best every reading, but I just feel like a really positive energy. Let's just leave it at that. Wait 1 second. I need to remove this person. Okay. Yeah. So okay, this will do for now. Too bad the light's not in the other way, but we'll be sharing the screen a good amount and going back between me and my face. Let's get the clock going. And little kitty, little Cancer baby. What's up, Esmit? Okay, so, all right, start. So, welcome. So let's go ahead and share the screen. So, very annoyingly, I can't full size it. It just like randomly does this, which is great. Oh no, this is the wrong chart. This is what I'm doing next. So Kathleen, Aries rising, South Node in the 12th house in Pisces, Sun, which makes the North Node in the 6th house in Aries, Sun in the 7th house in Libra, obviously. But so what you're going to see here in the Moon in Cancer. So what's very like one of the what makes Aries rising, which is also Aries and Pisces rising, are the two least common rising signs. Something to do with like the time, the time of the day, like based on like whatever, some statistic of like when babies are normally born. But so when you have Aries rising, I don't know how much you know about astrology, but basically like this is the first house, this is the second house, this is the third house, fourth house, right? Each house is actually linked. Some astrologers don't give this direct link, but it's pretty damn close, The first house is Aries, right? The second house is Taurus. The third house is Gemini, and it goes all the way around in the same order of the zodiac. 12th house is Pisces. So when you have Aries, which is the first sign in astrology, by the way, I'm probably gonna have to and get like I ordered some food. So I'll probably he'll probably I can just pause the recording. It's not an issue, but that probably will happen. I might have to like run fast if there's like intercom call or something like that. But anyways, yeah. So what's going on here with Aries rising is that Aries is the first sign. So it basically means that every single house lines up, like your first house, right, is Aries. Just like in your second house is Taurus. Well, and I'm explaining this badly, but basically, like what I'm trying to explain to you is that, let's say for my chart, I'm Leo rising. So my first house is Leo, but the first house is still the house of Aries, right? And my second house is Virgo, right? So there's this real like this real parallel, like this real like it's an energy where it kind of doubles up. Like for example, like you have all these planets in the 8th house, right, that are Scorpio. So 8th house is Scorpio. So the fact that they're in Scorpio and in the 8th house, it kind of makes them double. So that's why Aries risings, they just there's a lot of like in Libra rising, the opposite sign of Aries is the opposite, right, where everything's opposed. But Aries, rising, it's very interesting for that way. Especially when you use whole signs as I do. And it kind of makes for an easier reading as well. because you don't have to really explain. For example, let's say you had a different rising. Let's say, you know, your Cancer moon was in, let's say you had like a Gemini rising, your Cancer moon was in like the 3rd house, right? So first house Gemini. So the 3rd house would, you know, wait, what am I talking about? Yeah, if you had a Gemini rising, your moon would be in the 2nd house, and that's the house of Taurus. So I would have to kind of combine what it means to have your moon in Cancer in the 2nd house, which is like, it's not like moon, like Cancer, it's not like a moon in Cancer / Taurus per se, but there's elements of it. So that's that. So that adds Aries rising is very, very interesting for that matter. And I think it kind of makes one see life in a very direct way. So 1 second here. One second, hold up. Sorry, I need to like look at something really quickly. I think I made a mistake. Okay. So yeah, sorry, I had to, this food stuff's gonna arrive. Hectic start. But yeah, so basically, you know, having you know, your sun in Libra in the 7th house with Pluto there, and your moon in Cancer, and you have a 29-degree sun, which is very significant, right? And wow, you have 2 22-degree Scorpio planets. Damn. I'm gonna read you from my latest post, what I wrote, or one of my latest posts. 22 degrees of any sign, especially fixed, which is Scorpio. You have this. So your Mars and your Venus. A strong point of adversity can lead to difficult outcomes and difficulties with other people / the world around you. It could indicate some prominence on a positive level if you can work through some of the issues. So right off the rip, like we see how the Scorpio, I feel like I can intuitively feel like something's gonna ring any second. But the Scorpio, having your Mars and your Venus there with Uranus and Mercury, so you have a stellium in Scorpio. I get the in being an Aries rising, which makes Mars rule your chart, right? I should share this again. People are visual learners. Some people, I go back and forth between me and the thing, the chart. So basically, this is your chart ruler. It's at 22 degrees, which is in your Venus is retrograde. So in essence, you know, you're definitely a very, very intense person. Like I just wrote about this yesterday or last night or this morning actually, about like people who have like lots of Aries, lots of Scorpio, you know, or even just any of those in their personal planets. You have 3 Scorpio and 4 including Uranus, which doesn't really count because it's an outer planet, but still does. And then your rising is obviously Aries. So you know, you're definitely a very, very pioneering, very intense person, very probing person. But I imagine that, especially in matters of love, that, you know, that Venus retrograde has potentially gotten you into some trouble. I'll shine back to myself now, as I think I'm gonna have to pause this for the freaking food. But yeah, so like definitely 22 degrees is difficult. Now in the 8th house, there's a lot of karma there because it's meant to be, it's meant to go through the death, rebirth, and transformation process, right? That's what Scorpio is all about. It's all about, it puts you in really tense situations, which that 22-degree energy, you know, it's going to create even more adversity, especially Mars in Scorpio is just the spiritual warrior at its highest. At its lowest, you know, so I imagine that you went through a life, especially in relationships, where there's very like just super like headstrong, lots of conflict, and then you probably had this period where you really leveled up, and that was like the coming of ages. I don't know if it was your Saturn return or whatever it was, but that, you know, shows in the astrology, you know, I mean, in the fact that you booked a reading with me. You know, but you definitely have the chart of someone who probably was quite impulsive, maybe still has those tendencies, you know, very adventurous. But like, the 22 degree Scorpio, Venus and Mars, it's like that's like a very adversarial energy. And isn't it? It's conjunct Serpentis too. So that can be like a low key, like, I mean, I don't like to say evil energies because that doesn't exist. But like, so that's not, so don't, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that Serpentis, right, which is 9, yeah, it's Unu Kalai, is conjunct that, so it's conjunct those Scorpio planets. So that's gonna, so that Serpentis, which I can pull my notes on that, is a fixed star that some astrologers speak of as being like the most difficult. When you hear about like the low, high, I made an article on my Instagram, my new Instagram, Jesse Nisson Astro Remix, which you should follow because I'm posting on, I stopped posting on my main one for a while. I'm going on this one, Jesse Nisson Astro Remix. But yeah, what was I just saying? I talked about how Serpentis, it can be, let me just pull it up. One of the most I talk about like how there's like the low, medium, and high energy of each sign, right? I'm actually going to prepare my computer so I can bring it downstairs when I get my food, not stop the momentum. But basically, like, that combined with the fact that it's at 22 degrees is just, it's very intense, and it can make someone very bold, even cruel, heartless, like even like criminal, liar, poverty, like few friends, like it gives immorality, violence, like all that really intense, like just like the lowest energy of like Scorpio, right? And it's very dangerous and destructive, right? It's very, very dangerous. But what can happen too is if you think about Scorpio just in general, and I'm going to get a call any second, is that it's all about ego death. It's all about letting parts of yourself die, letting go of control. Because Scorpios, they want to control everything, and they can be so stubborn, right? And they can be so vindictive. What's the word? Vindictive? Vindicative. I know too many languages. Vindicative, vindictive. Yeah. So it's just like it's also like it represents like the neck of the snake. So it's like kind of representative of the seat of knowledge, right? The snake, archetypically, I've been speaking weird today. Representing that, right? I took my driver's test, which I literally like, I'm not gonna, I guess I'll just say it. It's like the hardest thing ever, the Romanian driver's test, and I was one question off. You have to get 22 out of 26. I had 2 questions left I saved for the end, and I just had to get one of them right. I got both wrong because they were like not just A, it was A and C, and the other one was not just A, like B and A, it was A, B, and C. It was that kind of stuff. It's like crazy. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. But basically what I'm saying is that this energy can be very, very spiritual, but it also can be very dangerous. But when you think of anything astrological, right, this is just pushing you to transform. It's pushing you to allow parts of yourself from your karmic past to die so that this new spiritual version of you can be born, right? So I dealt with one client, like, since I learned about this fixed star, who had it, and I haven't heard back from her, but I definitely like want I know that definitely struck something in her. But yeah, it's a very it can be a gift, but it can also make someone corrupt. But like it can be a gift if you choose like the healing routes, teaching. Like it's kind of, it's almost like 12th housey, right? In the sense that like when you give back and when you let go, it starts to kind of have more positive effects. Now, when we look at Venus conjunct it, which you have your Venus conjunct that in Scorpio already, it says jealousy, enmity, jealousy of own sex, bad for domestic matters, favorable for gains, secret death, probably by poison. And don't worry about those. The last one I said, like that. This is like all like old fucking stuff that doesn't apply. But you do have to watch out, just in general with this from poison. Like, but it's not like anything like on that level. Like this is gonna happen. I mean, look, like Bill Gates has this. Has he died of poisoning? Leonardo DiCaprio has this. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. So then Mars there, violence, quarrels, lying, crime, and it says this is similar to Mars at the south scale. It's a drying process of tissues in the colon. Mint teas and a teaspoon of olive oil 3 times per week would be very helpful. The nails will find it difficult to relieve the bowels, which causes hemorrhoid problems. The external use of Vaseline would also be quite helpful. So that's that. Very interesting stuff. I always am fascinated by the fixed stars when they pop up. Now, you have a very karmic chart, super karmic. When we talk about your sun, right, in Libra, you have a 29-degree sun. So when you have a 29-degree sun, I need to like text this guy. 1 second. You can hear me speaking Romanian. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. He was at my door. I ordered kind of a special dinner tonight. My girlfriend got accepted into school, university, and I was like, I'm just gonna surprise her because she's out with her friend right now. And yeah. So are we okay? Wait, why is my freaking video on? Okay, so here we are. So okay, 29-degree sun in Libra. It doesn't matter what sun sign you have. If it's at 29 degrees, it is the last sign, and it has to do with some type of karmic completion in this lifetime, right? So with respect to Libra and being in the 7th house, you know, and it's known as the anorectic degree. I have to look at, or the degree of fate, right? It's a final degree. And it's often given like a negative spin. But really I think of it like this. I think of it like it's like in college or whatever, high school. But instead of that using high school or college, you're using like different lifetimes, right? And it's basically like how much you studied. But in this lifetime, it'd be like how much work you've done. And this is like the final test this lifetime. It's a very, very very intense one. And it has, some people like to like refer to it as being very Piscean, but others say very Scorpio-like, right? Because Pisces is the last sign, but then Scorpio is the sign of transformation, death, rebirth, and transformation. So either way, you understand that, like, yes, it's in Libra, but it's gonna have like a kind of very, there's fate is gonna play a lot in your life, right? So yeah. Looking for something. So basically, like, I'll explain it like this. Like, so like when you have 0 degrees of a planet, which my next client does, so it's gonna explain the same thing. It's about taking like the initial steps on this like road ahead karmically, right? It's like the beginning of a new cycle, especially if your sun's at 0, your moon's at 0. The 29, there's the sense of like finality, right? Of like the end. The best way is like, it's like the end of a familiar path, right? And but with that comes this deep knowingness, this deep knowledge, this deep wisdom, right? It's like a seasoned player, someone who's very skilled in that sign, which for you is Libra. While the 0 degree would be the opposite, brand new. Like if you're a 0 degree Leo, you have no idea how to Leo, right? So what happens is that because you've earned your stripes throughout lifetimes, you're likely to encounter some of the most challenging facets, right? That are related to Libra. So it's very challenging. And from that comes this deep desire to understand it, hence astrology, right? And even to understand past lives and understand, like, you know, what has already happened and can't really be undone, but it's happened. So yeah, it's very, 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 very fated. Now, so with that said, right? 1 second, I want to start something. Hold on. Remind me later. Open Word documents. So 1 sec. Sorry, I'm being so ADD. I just wanted to like save something. But yeah, so with that said, the fact that it's in the 7th house, right? It's basically with your Venus in retrograde. You see, I already know. I could literally do the rest of your chart without even looking at it. Like, I'm not even looking right now. Like, it's like in my brain. I understand it already. It's just about getting you the message. This is the one that I like. I love this chart because it just like makes complete sense to me. So it makes relationships like a core focus. But a lot of times I've seen relationships, partnerships, whether they're business partnerships or, you know, but like usually it's like it's a house of marriage, right? So what can happen though is there can be with this Venus, you know, with this Venus retrograde, which is like I think only 8 or 7, 9% of the population have that. It's very rare. There can be this obsession with relationships, right? And with that serpentist, there can be this real intensity, and this, you know, all the stuff I read about, you know, just like lots of difficulty, and it's probably until that Saturn return, you know, and I highly suggest you get like a current astrology reading with me. Like usually people do this, then they do the follow-up, and then they do the current astrology. I call it the grand trio. I just made that up, the grand trio. But that's what I advise people to do, because this reading is like the book of your life. You get it done once, and trust me, I'm going to deliver it to you like as good as anyone can do. In the current astrology, that's like a completely different reading. We're talking live, we're on Zoom, we're on whatever, Zoom preferably, or call if that's more comfortable. And we're discussing how the current energies, and I have lots of different predictive techniques mixed with your lived experience, right? How like kind of we're trying to understand everything, right? Like how the current astrology is affecting you. But the first step is the natal chart. First, we have to understand who you are, and then the follow-up is optional, of course. Like I realize you didn't purchase one. I would definitely give it to you for $100 instead of $150, I think is my price. So you can let me know about that. It's like an hour long where we basically just go over everything and solidify all of this. But more importantly, in answering questions, all that stuff. But like more importantly, we're comparing your lived experience with what was said here, which is extremely important. And these readings can be very intense for everyone, pretty much, unless they're like a seasoned astrologer or someone that really knows their chart really, really well. But even those people like tend to like have very intense reactions to my readings. So a lot of people watch their readings over multiple times, then they have the follow-up, and then they do the current. Obviously, so that's what I would recommend. I always for people who return, I always am very generous with what I offer in terms of price. So yeah, just want to get that in there. Anyways, actually, it's wet. Oh my god. Hold up. I think my food is spilling everywhere. That would not be good. Because what the heck? Sorry about this. I'm sorry, so many distractions. Why is it wet? Oh my god, my cats are gonna come and try to steal it. I'll just show you. Like when you see this and you spent like a lot of money on a dinner, that's not good. But I think everything is unscathed. Although that was like whatever. Mika, get away from my food. Mika, okay, I'm sorry about this. I'm gonna just throw this away. Mika, get away. I need to hide this. I'll keep talking while I do. Apologize once again. It's just when you have 3 cats, they are wild. And they are always looking for opportunities to steal, basically. So, Mika, get off my desk. Bad girl. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of some I see lots of tension in relationships, lots of very intense relationship experiences. In Venus retrograde and in Scorpio, they can be obsessed with relationships, right? They can be obsessed with relationships. It can be their like we're, especially when they're young, like it's like it can be like everything to them, right? Like it can be their end all be all, right? So what happens is that over time, because like Venus in Scorpio, it can, and let's see, I need to pull up the aspects. But overall, like when you have this type of energy, you can be very, very intense, and it really, it's a rare type of partner, not in a bad way. It's a rare type of partner in the sense that like it takes you're a very, very individualistic person, right? You're very unique. So it takes someone like you, or not necessarily like you, but it takes a special type of person to match that, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that with the Aries, with people with the chart like yours, and then Sappho is also conjunct your sun. I need to see something about that. But yeah, Sappho is about, it's another very interesting one. It's very close to your sun, and basically, yeah, it's an asteroid, and it represents. Sorry, cat stealing. Oh my god. Yeah, it has a lot to do with like sexual interest and pleasure. Also very creative, artistic, like harmony, all that kind of stuff, right? Also, there's a lot of association with money, and there's even been like market research and financial astrology. I'm reading here, linking Sappho to market movements. So yeah, it's very Venusian, and it's the primary symbol of money, and also has resonance with Amor. Which, okay, so yeah, it can be have a bearing on material as well as spiritual or emotional fortunes. So yeah, there's potentially some karmic luck for you there. Now let me see if I can find anything more specific. Okay, so Sappho, an aspect of the sun or ascendant, increases attraction and sensuality and expression. Sexy, it says. These people may be bold in their sexual expression. Is that all you got for me? But it's really important in synastry, Sappho. Like when I do like the charts of like of two people, like a compatibility reading. I'm just not used to seeing it show up so obviously in a chart like this. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so basically, like, you know, we're seeing a theme, right, around love, relationships, all that stuff. Now, at some point, there must have come a time, or you know, where something was off and something needed to change. But being a high degree Libra, you understand what, like, you know, Libra is Gemini's the trickster, but like sometimes I feel like Libra can be even more of the trickster. I mean, they're so good socially, and they've really, you know, like the low energy of Libra. I have to tell every Libra person this is, especially you having the 7th house, is codependency. Your South Node is in Pisces though, so damn, that's like past life spiritual energy. But basically, like, yes, that's just something I have to kind of like throw in with every Libra, is watching out for like the codependency. Like, I can't live without you. I take too much of my happiness from, you know, a certain person. Not to say that that's a bad thing. It's not. Libra's, you know, it's a sign of relationships, but you know, a lot of your breakthroughs are going to come in that area of life anyways. There's going to be lots of fate. Like, your relationships are very fated. But I imagine that early in life there was probably like an obsession, like, that maybe was unhealthy, and that maybe like scared some people because you have all this very intense energy. Now, when I speak of intense energy, there's also this other part of this chart, of your chart, that's very calm. That's your Taurus moon. The moon, to me, is the most important part of astrology, right? I mean, it's moon and sun, but like I like to rep the moon, because I think it's like, I don't know, I just don't like when people act like, you know, the sun is so much more important. The moon is just as, if not, I say it's like 51 to 49. It's probably really 50-50. It's a yin yang. But okay, so your sun's in Libra, your moon's in your sun's like right on the edge of Libra and Scorpio also. So that's that what's that cusp called? Sorry, noise. Cusp of, let me look that up. But basically, like I don't need to look it up. It combines, you know, with the cusp of Libra in Scorpio. You're combining like the beauty and design and artistry of Libra with the sharp, like sharp, intuitive. So it kind of creates this like this person that's kind of not a people pleaser, right? This sharp, very determined, very like take no bullshit, serious Scorpio. So it kind of like lots of successful people are born on this cusp, because, you know, it's two energies that like they can, you know, like the Scorpio can be, I guess you can say, sweetened by the Libra, and the Libra can be sharpened by the Scorpio. Now, with that said, let's see, the sun is opposite Chiron, so you know that could speak to to some type of pain. You know, it's what orb are we talking here? Nah, I'm not going to count that one because it's 8 degrees, but it's not an elemental. Nah, that's a tough one. I would count it more if it's the other way, but basically, like, yeah, Sun opposite Chiron just speaks about some spiritual pain and some oppositional figure, kind of making it difficult for you to express that full Libra, like maybe artistic abilities or something related to the sign Libra. And Chiron in Taurus, I have a lot of my clients that have that, or it's like Taurus or Gemini a lot of times, or and with Taurus, there can be like some crisis around values, and it's really like a issues with self-worth, especially when young. And the journey is about like producing, building up more and more self-worth. And because sometimes people with this in the second house, they'll try to accrue so many possessions and money and all that to make up for it. Also, it has to do with the body. So like trusting your body is super important. Doing things like yoga, getting out in nature. It's very, very good for being a healer as well. And like learning to rely on your own body. There could be some, like literally like Chiron, there could be some type of pain related to your senses. So maybe, like if it was in Aries, I would think more like of your body. In Taurus, I would think more of like, your self-esteem, sense of self-worth, stuff like that. So then, the moon has some very nice aspects, but then it has the most difficult aspect in all astrology, in my opinion. So you have Pluto, which is just, I need to show this again. 1 second. This is crazy. Well, Pluto is like, I would still count this conjunction, even though it's 12 degrees, because it's the sun. I would probably give like a 15-degree orb, even though so like that right there, it's very far. It's 12 degrees, 17 and 29, but still, it just adds more Scorpio to you. You are super, super Scorpio, right? Pluto is Scorpio, essentially, right? It rules Scorpio. But basically what this is saying is that like death, rebirth, and transformation is playing a huge role in who you are as a person on not just your sun level, right? Because it is here. So, and you experience that within relationships. So your shadow work, because Pluto represents the shadow and the work that we have to do to understand ourselves, to get deeper with ourselves spiritually, it comes out in these partnerships. So I'm sure that resonates. And if we do a follow-up, or hopefully when we do a follow-up, I would love to hear about your life story and kind of how it resonates with all this. Now, more importantly, moon, you see that here, square Pluto. Moon square Pluto. And let's see what else we have. Venus is just nice and unaspected Mars. Wow. Wow. Okay, so that is even more information. That's crazy. So I just want to say really quickly before I get into Pluto square Moon, the fact that your Mars is at 22 Scorpio, conjunct Serpentis, Mars in Scorpio is a super dynamic energy, right? Mars and Scorpio, I just wrote about it. Like you have all these things, like this is such a synchronicity because I just wrote about all this stuff. But what did I say? Let's see what I said. Literally the top 2 in my post were Mars and Scorpio and 22 degrees of any sign. And then Saturn conjunct Ascendant. You don't have Saturn the 3rd. So Mars and Scorpio, I said, I've seen this a lot with my clients. It gives this built-in lie detector where the person just knows things without knowing how they know them. They're the last people you want opposing you, right? With Serpentis, it makes that even further. You are the last person that you want to be on your bad side. Like maybe in the past, I feel like you've outgrown it and become like a spiritual master, or like of your own self, your own version of it. They have a deep level of psychological and emotional intelligence, and they are able to go towards what they want with fervor. Very, very passionate and intimate also. So intimacy is extremely important, right? So when it comes to love, especially with a Cancer moon, which I'll get into in a second, like close emotional and physical closeness is extremely important, especially emotional, which for a Libra sun, you know, it's not really usually the case, but it is Libra sun on the cusp of Scorpio and square in conjunct Pluto. So it's a very loyal placement and also a surefire sign of a truth seeker. This creates a brave person, not afraid to dip into their shadow and transform from it. The true spiritual warrior, the mysterious one. So, yeah, imagine that has no aspects. This would just be comical. This would be comical if I wrote about unaspected planets in this post. Oh, no, I wrote an unaspected Mercury. If I wrote unaspected Mars in that post too, I was gonna just lose my shit. Oh, and I wrote Venus retrograde natal. This post was like made for you. Jesus, wow. And do you have anything? No. So Venus retrograde, I already talked about this. I wrote, indicates difficulty in expressing freely your love and affection for others, also for yourself. You may feel that you lack emotional fulfillment and tend to interpret life's events through the lens of how much am I loved, or deprived of love. Emotionally based relationships can be difficult because you tend to internalize and thereby exaggerate hurts. So emotionally based relationships can be difficult because you tend to internalize and thereby exaggerate hurts. A deep need to find self-love, or there can be continuous relationship failures and cycles as a person tends to be relationship obsessed. So karmically, it means that, like, and let's see if there's a link here. Oh, there's a trine. So you're gonna have lots of so what that tells me is that past lives love was done, self-love and love, our love, it was done the wrong way. There's an imbalance. But in this lifetime, you're gonna most likely have a lot of very and this might be way off, but this is just what the astrology is telling me. Because you have your south node trining Mars and Venus. Let's see how close it is. Pretty damn close, 4 degrees. So basically that's saying that you're going to have quite a bit of luck. Not just like with the partners you meet, because they're like that can be very difficult thing to look at, because you might like have a partner where you aspire a lot, but like it leads to that transformation. But more so, I see that in terms of that spiritual side, right? That you're getting lots of like, you know, you're getting lots of past life, because your south node is in the 12th house in Pisces. Like, you are a past life mystic. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Your south node is conjunct my sun and Mercury 2 degrees away. That's probably why you were drawn to me. Maybe we even have past lives together. Who knows? You know, crazier things have happened. But that's probably why you were drawn to me for reading, right? Your south node, who you were, is linked to who I am today, which is super interesting and trippy to think about. Now, the fact that trines these two planets is basically saying, and this is really nice, that you have spiritual gifts that you've inherited from past lives that if you're able to tap into them through meditation or whatever kind of spiritual practice, it can take you to a whole new level spiritually. Now, let's get to the moon, because I've been around the bush a little bit. And let me get one book also. Sometimes I do these readings on my desk, but I usually like to be on the couch, and I have all my books on my desk. You know, I'm gonna move to the desk. Let's move to the desk. Let's have we've already actually no, there's food there. Actually, screw the food. Let's just stack it up. Let's move to the desk. Let's be official, unless some stuff's spilled. But basically, okay, it's still sharing. Okay, so 1 second. Yeah, so basically, like, and I'm very, very curious. Now I'm even more curious by your chart. I'm very happy I did this one first, because I had 2 to choose from. But basically, like, yeah, there's like this whole energy of like you having these like past life like memories of being this mystic, this person who was very compassionate, and in this lifetime you're being pushed in kind of an opposite direction, because that's how what the whole point of the south node and north node is that the south node is who you were. It's like the easiest path for you being a mystic, being like a spiritual, just super high up spiritual person, someone. So that all of this stuff, it comes very naturally to you. So I'm kind of positive now looking at that you must have had like whether it's astrology or tarot or whatever, everyone has their different things who's interested in spirituality, or even just like a spiritual understanding, like understanding life after death. And like a lot of people, like most people don't understand that stuff at all. They think you just die and that's it. And I don't want to call them stupid, but like it's just like that's, people don't know, people don't investigate. They're so afraid of even what that investigation entails that they never open the doors. But for you, I imagine that like even as a young girl, you probably grew up pretty quickly. You probably like had something special about you, that you were just different. Maybe you were like kind of like you were younger but older within, right? Like an advanced soul, and it could have made you very frustrated. And also with that Scorpio energy, there could be like maybe people were jealous of you in certain ways. Who knows, right? Because if you had Sappho there, Libra, maybe like that can create that that jealousy, because Sappho, as I said, it's very sexual, it's very in all that Scorpio energy, like people find it very sexy in general, right? So what I'm getting at is that you definitely like probably had to grow up quick. I'm sitting at my desk right now, just so you know, I'm not on camera. But yeah, like there's definitely this thing I'm getting where you have, and I'm very curious to know how much you tapped into it, this real like wisdom that like maybe people even in your own family. I'm not seeing that though. I'm not seeing anything bad family wise. I just see the moon, and it's actually probably the best thing to have your moon in Cancer on the ISD. I mean, like in terms of like family relations and closeness to family and having your needs met. I mean, we don't really fully know how the relationship with your father and your mother, like how their relationship was. We know that you're very, very emotional, and that you have like a deep need for family and for deep emotional connection with family, or Cancer moon, right? But like things, little things, like with all that Scorpio and being an Aries rising, which is like Aries rising is like the pot, like just like the ram. It's like it doesn't think twice before just going just head on, collision, just like going at someone, like if someone says something, right? So there's a lot, like I imagine you probably have to like hold back on this kind of energy, this more, you know what I mean, like this energy that is more intense. Like you it's probably it's like a Ferrari. There's the example I was looking for. It's like if you're a car and you're a Ferrari, and learning, or like one of those like really those horses that are hard to control, like learning to tame the horse, it's probably difficult, and it's a challenging chart. But the thing that makes one of the parts of your chart that is so nice, why does my camera keep turning off? Okay, so now is lighting okay? Yeah. Is that's that moon in Cancer, but then it's square Scorpio, or excuse me, Pluto. So, and it's an exact square. So this is the most important part of your chart, probably. I mean, like it's like the most. I mean, when I say most important part of your chart, I mean like you obviously knew that you're a Cancer moon. You knew that you're a Sun in Libra. I'm not sure if you knew about the whole 29-degree part and all that. But the fact that your Sun and your Moon are both in major conjunction to Pluto, mainly your Moon, and then that you have 4 planets in Scorpio, and your chart ruler is in the 8th house, and they're all in the 8th house, it makes you like such, like, for having, and the fact that you're on the cusp with Scorpio, your Sun, like you're the most Scorpio non-Scorpio ever. Like that is your sign, you know? Like if you have to have one sign, like that is your sign, right? Now with this placement, with this square, Moon conjunct Pluto. So first of all, Cancer moons, like I said, a deep need for emotional closeness. Family is super important. The past, they could so when there's issues with this moon placement, right? They can be the crybabies of the zodiac, but why the moon in that position is such a good placement in astrology is because, you know, for example, like if you have an Aquarius moon, you might like let's say the same thing happens to you as it happens to someone with their moon in Aquarius, right? The person with the moon in Aquarius might be like, okay, I'm not gonna feel like, and unconsciously, of course, I'm just like speaking as unconscious. Okay, yeah, that thing that happened probably hurt me, but I'm just not gonna feel it for 7 months. Moon in Cancer feels that shit right away. Like there's no, like they're crying, you know, very very emotional, and it makes the early family life extremely important. So if there's anything that you weren't able to get past, anything traumatic, it can deeply, deeply affect you. Now, when we add Pluto squaring the moon, or the moon squaring Pluto, it doesn't really matter. It is just furthering this thing that I keep repeating of this need to purify, this need to let go, like this real inner intensity, right? Like it makes your emotions so intense and extreme. I always write about this one, right? Well, kombucha. It's not alcohol. I drink about less than 10 times a year, just in case people are wondering, because I have kombucha in like every reading I do. But yeah, it's very intense. And what happens with Moon Square Pluto, there's like a need to control, and it just makes it, like people who have this can have like bipolar, they can have like all kinds of like psychological issues, especially when young, with the rest of your chart. They can be very aggressive, but it can also make someone like a natural loner, right? And very there's a need for counseling, for healing, because where your triggers come from a very, very hidden place. Like Moon Square Pluto is just like, oh shit, where did that come from? You know? And with your moon in the 4th house and Pluto in the 7th house, now I'm connecting the dots a little bit. It makes me think that if there was something in the childhood, that it comes out in relationships, like the darkness, like the darkness, may come out in relationships, right? So yeah, you hate feeling restricted. It's another thing with that one. And there can be a tendency to explode. And it just like I said, like it's all about that deep self-understanding, right? Like studying psychology, the occult, meditation is super important. Anything that where you're exploring your depths, going through that death, rebirth, transformation, right? Which is like the name of this reading. That's what gives you like the energy level to like really create the highest version of you. But this is a very tough one. What can happen also, it's just more of that stuff I've been talking about before, about like the control stuff and manipulation, like just like a very compulsive behavior patterns, right? Self-destructive potentially. I've had clients who, have had like suicidal issues in the past, who've had this, like very dark emotions that come up and cause like emotional crises throughout life, right? But like it's all up until like a certain evolutionary point is reached. But so like this, like when you have this in your chart, like either you're going to be miserable or you're going to learn about yourself. It's one of the two, through like counseling or or you know, whatever mean you take. But it's like, it's very psychological, which also makes one, once like this gets overcome, it makes one you would be the best if you're a therapist, chose the right career. But regardless, like, you have a built-in lie detector, you are extremely intuitive and definitely assertive too. So like a force to be reckoned with for sure. I'm very, very curious. But yeah, like I was saying, like the moods can come from such a, and like they can shift so much, you know, and they can come from such a hidden place. The moon represents the mother, so like the fact that your son, father, right? Usually it's the father, it's the most dominant parent, was conjunct Pluto, but not very far conjunction, and there weren't really any other like difficult ones. Actually there was the opposite of the Chiron. So yeah, maybe there were some issues. Maybe like you were someone who really needed a lot of love, and you didn't get what you needed. You know, as a Cancer moon, there's like that's like the moon sign that needs the most love and attention, right, and closeness. So yeah, it really comes down in close relationships, like the pain, at least in your case, like the emotional crises. And you can sometimes throw on your partner what is really meant to be, what's it called, displacement, thrown on your whether it's your father or your mother. In this case, this would be the mother, or like, you know, the moon is the mother usually, right? So what, like, more with a Scorpio energy in general is that it can be kind of smothering. Like it creates really intense close bonds with people that can sometimes be too much, right? So yeah, yep. So yeah, it's just like another aspect which sends one into like their own personal underworld, and they have to deal with it. You know, they have to deal with it, and they have to understand that like especially with your chart, you know, you don't have, I mean, let's see, do I see any Earth in your chart? No, just the North Node, interestingly enough. You know, your water, air, and you know, you don't really you have water for the personal planets. So Jupiter and fire, I guess, and Leo. But you lack Earth. So when you lack Earth, you lack that ability to ground yourself. So it's like, so this is kind of wrapping all around 360. So your North Node, aka like where, like who you're meant to, like where you're meant to be, right? Like what you're trying to become, is that in past lives you've been too much of a dreamer. Not in a bad way. You've been a mystic, but in this life, it's like, and I see very, very beautiful aspects. So yeah, you're in this lifetime, you're really trying to take what you had and kind of bottled up. Maybe you were scared to let it out. It's in the 12th house. This knowledge, this wisdom, this mysticism, all this stuff. You're meant to take that and actually give it to the world through service to humanity. That's the North Node of Virgo, in a very tangible, step-by-step, day-by-day, like type way. You're supposed to also, you know, it relates also to like just, you know, caring more about your physical health and your daily routine, right? Like about responsibility. And also, you know, South Node in Pisces in the 12th house is the ultimate escapist. So there can be this need for you in this lifetime, because especially with all these intense energies, there could be some things that happen that make you want to escape. You know, maybe, you know, like it's such intense energy that you know, maybe when you were younger, you could have used like some form of escapism, whether it be drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever, you know. But yeah, like letting go of that desire to escape into fantasy and to develop like a very productive life, right? And yeah, and the way you do that and the way you get past and you really transform, and the whole point, like everything with this chart, and Saturn's in the 6th house too, is being of service to others, right? Overcoming that tendency to daydream and feel overwhelmed by the world and all this energy that you feel so intensely, right? And really putting your compassion, your wisdom, all of that 12th house Pisces South Node energy, which is so interesting, by the way, putting that to use in a way that helps humanity. That's kind of why you're here. And being an Aries rising, you're someone who can initiate. You are an initiator. So, also one thing I didn't talk about is the Mercury-Uranus conjunction. That is, I literally, 1 second, where's my phone? I literally just, like, you are literally, your chart is like, it's like I've been writing about you or something, because I just released a post. I believe the first thing that I wrote was Mercury conjunct Uranus for psychic. No, it wasn't. Oopsies. Okay, where is it? Yeah. Okay. But maybe this is the wrong one. Hold on. I found one version, but I think there was a better version. It was here, right? No, it wasn't here. Was it under most fortunate placements? It is very fortunate. Yeah, I wrote Mercury conjunct Uranus or Neptune. So, yeah, it can give the ability for one's mind, which is Mercury and Scorpio, right? You like to dive deep into things, to receive downloads, right? That contribute to their understanding of the future. It's very, very psychic. So you should practice automatic writing or some type of spiritual practice related to communicating in some type of way. Where you go into a deep trance or meditate, and then you just start like writing, but really, like that's like a genius aspect. No, not lying. Mercury conjunct Uranus is like, it's someone who thinks in a very, hi Mika, right? Is my camera showing me? Yes, you gotta see Mika. Here's the Aries sun, Mika. So that's like a genius aspect. And but the thing is, it's in the 8th house, so it's like it could be like a hidden genius. You could be like a hidden genius, right? Where like, especially if you're interested in like this kind of stuff, not everyone's going to recognize your genius, right? But that just gives the ability to, to grasp things really quickly. It's going to make you interested in kind of more unconventional types of subjects. And I find it such like, for me, I think it's so interesting, because I think it gives, like, when you're able to calm the mind, which, Mika, stop. You can get these downloads. Like, you're so connected. You literally like think of yourself having like these antennas, and it would be really cool to see like what kind of work, if you how that's worked in your life. It'd be really interesting to know how if that, like, I really want to know like when you discovered astrology, like what role it's played and things like that. But that's a very interesting one. Yeah, so an aspect in Mars, beside, I guess Venus is conjunct Mars. That's an aspect. That just adds like a very high sex drive. It kind of creates like a merging of the feminine and the masculine. The Venus gets, I mean, it's in Scorpio, so the Venus gets, I guess, or the Mars gets sweetened a little bit. But yeah, I think it adds more to this like relationship kind of obsession, right? What was I just saying? Second or something. But yeah, it adds a certain level of like charisma, like usually sexuality, vibrancy, and yeah, like a high sex drive usually, you know, and very straightforward in that area of life. And really like knowing like what you want in a partner. I have this as well, but I don't have it. I have it in Aquarius. So like, and it's not as close. Yours is exact degree, right? But yeah, it's just more of this energy of like being like a very intense person in love and really looking for that soul bonding, two souls becoming one level of intimacy, which can be too much for some people to handle, right? But also makes one very attractive. And I'm just checking. But like really, like it does. Like Venus and Mars together, it does make people attracted to you. Somehow it just attracts. I don't know. But it's really dependent on how your relationship with your father was, right? Like how like in terms of like how you relate to the opposite sex is very dependent on how your relationship with your father was with this aspect. Aside from love stuff, you know, this is very goal oriented in terms of career, creativity. You know, you have a lot of water in your chart, so you can be very in touch with music and other kind of art forms. So it's also very good for popularity, right? Because like Venus conjunct Mars, it's, you know, it's just that it's a very passionate energy, right? A strong desire for love and affection. So once again, another clue, we said this before, you know, that love in your sun being in the 7th house of love is very important for you in this lifetime. So I'm curious to know like how, because you're how old? 12 years old. So you're in your 40s. You probably like learned a lesson or two. I'm curious kind of how because you've probably been through such intense, like you probably look back at your life and there's like periods where you're like, that wasn't me. That was like an actress playing me. Like I can't even imagine. Yeah. So family, like kind of like just adding little things in, like, you know, Cancer moons, like family is going to be super important. So like when it comes to like a committed relationship, you're not looking for someone that like there's no mucking around. It's very like not like serious in the sense of like loyalty is extremely important. And you're not gonna like be willing to be with some kind of like air sign kind of, I don't know, maybe, and it's not about signs. You are an air sign, but like there's a real level of like determination and commitment and passion with that sign. Now, okay, I didn't talk about your Jupiter. So Jupiter here in Leo conjunct Black and Lilith. That is interesting. What that can do together, those two, is that can make someone kind of, you know, Jupiter and Leo, it can make someone a little bit, conjunct Black and Lilith can make someone a little bit, not a narcissist. One sec. I'm in the middle of a reading. What's up? What? Oh my God. 1 second. I'm going to pause it this time. Okay. Last disruption. Girlfriend arrived and I had the key inside the door, so she couldn't actually like unlock it. So yeah. Jupiter. So I mean, like really, like at this point, you know, Jupiter there in the 5th house, super creative, super creative. But Jupiter makes everything bigger, right? So, basically, in Leo, it can make, you know, Leo's obviously a sign that can act out at times. It can kind of make someone like have kind of a larger than life energy, right? And Also, it can make someone really want to teach, like very, very passionate about like what they're doing, but about what they've learned, really want to teach it. But in the 5th house, like that's just like really, really good. It's great for children and fertility and just like having an amazing relationship with your children. But then there's Black Moon Lilith there, right? So we have to talk about that after. But yeah, like overall, like Jupiter in the 5th house, I think is awesome because it just makes it's very flirty energy too. It can make someone have like, like no issues when it comes to like, dating and that kind of like flirty part of a connection, if you want to put it like that. That's what the 5th house rules. But it can also give you lots of luck in terms of like, partners you meet. So the fact with Black Moon Lilith and Leo though, that's where you have to watch out for like being narcissistic, speaking too much about yourself, and not looking enough at, I guess you could say, like being stubborn, not kind of, the lower energy of Leo, being a show off a little bit. How else to say it? So, but that's not an actual part. That's not an actual part of your chart, right? It's just a potential. Does that make sense? Like there's no such, like Black Moon Lilith doesn't exist. It's hypothetical. So it's like your dark, it's like you at your lowest if it ever gets there. But the fact that it's conjunct Jupiter can definitely make it so, that Leo, that Jupiter and Leo can become a little bit like over expansiveness, right? Also, it's really good for public appeal. And it's really good for like doing things like theater, like movies, politics, advertising, anything like that, right? Leadership. It's very good for leadership too. And it's a very ambitious placement. So sometimes it can be like that over and I think having so much Scorpio will help you, but like being like overly like I can do anything, which I have the exact same thing. I have Jupiter square my sun, and but just like being overly expansive and when it comes to taking risks potentially. But then you have Venus, conjunct, Mars. So Scorpio, I wouldn't think that would make someone spend like such a big spender, but the Scorpio love energy is like very intense. It can be possessive. It has to learn how to let go in that area of life too, and to let things come to it instead of forcing things. When it forces things, it doesn't work out. But yeah, what else can I say about Leo here? It's just good for any kind of like career where you have to like sell things or like something like that, like anything like where being a star, like shining helps, like and it just gives like, yeah, a very warm-hearted side of you. So it's a really good placement. Very, very good placement. Now let's see, Saturn the 6th, I have that too. Very strong place to have your Saturn. Show my face again. Basically, I'm going way over time. Jesus. I'm trying to keep these to an hour. Ugh. Basically, Saturn the 6th house, same house as your North Node. It's trying to help you. Saturn is trying to help you on that North Node journey of organization, and it's helping you a lot with the fact that you don't have Earth. The fact you don't have any Earth, but having Saturn, like I don't have Earth either, but I have Saturn in the 6th house, and I'm extremely organized. Like I'm not like OCD, but like I'm organized. My room's my room's clean. Like like I have somewhat of a routine. So that's gonna help you with your chart too, in terms of like being able to like create success. Understand that it takes step to create a success, because the South Node, where it is in Pisces, can kind of just think like, oh, I can just do it, and not really think about all the details that goes into it. Yeah, I guess Uranus is also conjunct. So I want to find something. But Uranus is also conjunct your Mars and Venus conjunction. So that's gonna add like a level of what you value in relationships being a little bit more I guess you could say unique and kind of eccentric even. But yeah, Mercury and Scorpio, you're always probing. You must dig beneath the surface. I already said all this stuff. Discover the real facts. Drawn to anything hidden. Fields of medicine, science, religion, and the occult. They're very suited for investigative work because you are unflagging in your pursuit and nothing eludes your keen observation. Never fooled. Very stubborn, obstinate mind. And you can be very enamored by your own ideas. Yeah, so it's really stubborn, and I live with someone who has it. But the fact that it's conjunct Uranus is actually going to add a lot of like open-mindedness to it, and a lot of spaciousness to it, metaphorically speaking. Now I'm looking for, yeah, here we go. Venus and Scorpio. So let's read this paragraph. So being in love is an all-consuming experience for you. There's a profound intensity to your emotions. Your sex life is passionate, and it's not gonna be anything I haven't said. It's just sometimes nice to read it. Your sex life is passionate and demonstrative. In a love affair, it is the sexual side of the relationship that is emphasized. However, you also put love on a spiritual plane. Your deep need is to possess a lover wholly, to make your partner surrender to your body and soul. This predictably leads to stormy scenes. It's not easy for anyone to deal with such possessiveness. How many times have I said this? You are very sensitive to any rebuff. You can bristle like a porcupine. If someone does not respond to your love, you may even become vindictive. And it says if you have the sun in Libra or Sagittarius, however, the jealous drive is lightened, which you do have your sun in Libra, so it's not as intense. Venus Scorpios tend to become involved in lucrative marriages or business. Yeah, also I forgot to say, 8th house rules other people's money and inheritances. So that could be something for you where you're like, not necessarily just an inheritance, but where like potentially you have like a wealthy husband, or you work a job where you benefit from other people's resources. Like an example would be like a financial advisor, like like a investment banker or something like that. Like that. Yeah, investment banker would be a perfect example of someone who takes other people's money and literally invests it and then makes money on their own. So that's that. And what else does it say? You have a sweeping, compelling imagination, and many of you do highly original artistic work. So yeah, but like I said, we talked about servantess. Okay, midheaven in Capricorn, so Saturn ruling your, in the 6th house ruling your career. You're here to make a difference. You want to be respected in the field you choose, and you have great organization and like you have an ability to really do well in the day-to-day when it comes to your job. And I think that should be it. Am I missing like one planet? I talked about that. I talked about that. I guess Neptune, and oh yeah, and Juno. Juno in Capricorn. Juno's an asteroid. And I'm gonna pull up some more. I'm just gonna pull up my fixed stars, some more fixed stars. So Juno, in Capricorn in the 10th house, that kind of speaks to like your ideal mate being someone who's successful, who cares, or who's successful like materially, but also not just like rich, like someone who actually cares about what they're doing, who has a purpose, honor in what they're doing, and someone who's really involved with their career, basically, and what they're doing externally, right? Now, interesting. Hold on. I'm confused by something. One sec. Okay, so you have Vesta conjunct your midheaven, interestingly enough. I was confused by the imagery. So Vesta is very like about serving. It's very like Cancer kind of Virgo energy. Like dedication and service. So yeah, I think like Vesta on the midheaven can make you really want to like serve in a way that really makes a difference through your career. Wait, hold up. Why is it saying okay, yeah, I got wait. Is this the actual Vesta? I'm so confused. It says A, but this is Vesta 4. That's Palace. Did I change the glyph? 1 second, I need to figure this out. That's Volcanus. That's Oh, and you okay? What's this? And then you have the asteroid Lilith conjunct your moon. So that's very interesting. And I don't know much about asteroid Lilith, to be honest. But I imagine that it's not. I know it's different than Black Moon Lilith. Let's see what I can find. So it most likely means you live in a part of the world that still believes in pseudoscience and meaninglessness. When you choose to travel, become educated, and realize that there are many other ways of establishing your future, such as choice, opportunity, and reflection, you'll go far. Then says that you or a relative must be a sad global fool, or easily parted from his or her hard-earned cash. I am accepting bids on a slightly used bridge under London. What the fuck? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's see. So I think yeah, it's speaking more about like this transformation, right? And it's just like a millionth time that this has come up, right? This death rebirth transformation. So let's see. I'm looking for more answers. This is how I learn sometimes. You know, I learn live. I admit it that I don't know. I don't remember what Lilith the asteroid was all about, because Black Moon Lilith is different. Okay. So it says it happens naturally with everyone. Okay, so the moon itself goes through periods where it can be conventional light, as well as fluctuate to being in the opposite, unconventional. It happens naturally with everyone, but with you, it may often be that people perceive your dichotomy different. Don't know how to think, feel, / trust that sometimes, because perhaps you're more accustomed to stepping over the line, whether consciously or not, social construct lines, and thus, no, this is. This is not it. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, so I think it's yeah, it's definitely about like individualism and finding that sense of self. And once again, like the death rebirth transformation, that whole thing. Okay, let's see. I'm still looking for more info. Okay. It's just so hard to find info where it's just Lilith, not Black Moon Lilith. See, yeah, this is talking about Black Moon Lilith. Okay, here it is. Finally, this is what I was looking for. The 3 Lilith. The asteroid Lilith. Okay, thank you. Darkstarastrology.com. The asteroid Lilith describes the first stage in the mythical journey where she is suppressed, humiliated, and flees in a fiery rage to the desolated wilderness. The dark moon Lilith depicts the pain of her exile where she plots and executes revenge. The black moon Lilith shows how she transmutes her distorted image back into its naturally healthy expression. So yeah, I could speak about suppression, humiliation, and yeah, like it can kind of go into that, relate to your moon, your emotions. One sec. Okay, so yeah, that's that. All right, and then yeah, Neptune in the 9th house. Didn't really talk about that. That's just gonna kind of give one a interesting experiences like with higher education. You might have like a very like out of bounds, different attitude towards higher education. You might have like a perfectionism towards like your understanding your own philosophy. But yeah, there can be this real devotional attitude towards like higher learning and the search for the meaning of life and all these things, right? Also, it can cause like disappointments and confusion with like some of these studies, like maybe like choosing the wrong teachers. Also, it can cause some of that similar confusion when traveling. Now, what is this though down here? Wow. And then you have asteroid Astronomia conjunct your Mercury. So that speaks for itself. That speaks for itself. But I'm looking. But it's a very like it's like not even really like, is it worth even like speaking about that one? Basically, like it says astronomy, but like it just it's kind of just like you'll be interested in things that are speaking about deep things that are related to the occult. Anyways, that is it. Although I see one. Okay. Wow, Urania conjunct your south node, so you could have been an astrologer in a past life. I'll leave it at that. Super interesting. So I hope you enjoyed. I think I went way over the top on this reading. I don't even have the timer working. I'm kind of afraid to see, but it's been a pleasure. Really interesting. Message me on Instagram at Jesse Innocent Astro Remix. I don't know if you're on there. I forgot how I found you, or if you, or how you found me. I think you just did like an email order. I'm pretty sure, or maybe I'm just an idiot and you totally did already message me and you follow me on that account. But that's where I'm posting for now. And yeah, let me know about the follow up. I've got some openings. I can definitely fit you in there. I'm very, very curious about a lot of the things that we talked about today. That's why I, let this reading go this long. This is super interesting for me. Hope it was the same for you. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.